Good evening, councillors. It's just 7 o'clock, so we'll start the meeting. This is my first meeting as chair of this committee. I'd like to pay thanks to Councillor Andy Barker, who has chaired this group so far and handed the reins over to me. I thank him for his tutelage and all information he passed on to me. It's been very helpful. So we are recording now. Could I ask you to make sure that you try and press, not that I remember every time, but can I ask you to press the button on your mics when you want to say something and raise your hand so I can see you. I've got my glasses to hand, so I'm shooting this out for you. So, the agenda. But part one is an open agenda. We'll deal with the licensing committee first of all. But first of all, we have apologies. I have apologies from Councillor Ruth Wright, Councillor David Allport and Councillor Craig Skelding. And I understand that Councillor David Hutchison is substituting for Councillor Skelding. Are there any other apologies? No. Thank you. Are there any declarations of interest in relation to licensing matters, which is the first part of the agenda that we're going to cover? So if we can move on to pages 3 to 6 then, which deals with the minutes of the previous meeting. Is everyone happy that that is an accurate record of what occurred at the last meeting? Yes, thank you. Moving on to pages 7 to 84, which is quite a tome. It relates to the cumulative impact assessment review. And I understand our officer, Matt Burton, is going to present on that. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, the cumulative impact assessment review. Members will remember that at the meeting in March, we brought forward a request about consultation in relation to the cumulative impact assessment. Following on from that, we had a 4-week consultation period in relation to it, and we received responses from 3 bodies: Statute Police Licensing, Statute Police, Local Policing, and Environmental Protection. We're here for you this evening for members to make a decision as to whether or not we retain the cumulative impact assessment, whether there's an evidential basis to do so, and if we do retain it, whether it has any expansion on the scope of it. In terms of recommendation, several for you. First is to know the information provided by both sections of the police in relation to retaining and amending what we already have. Second is to note the information from environmental health in support of retaining and amending the existing cumulative impact assessments. Third is to note all the information that's attached to that. And the fourth one, finally, is to determine whether there is an evidential basis currently to publish a new cumulative impact assessment to replace the current one, and if so, the scope of it. There's 3 separate aspects to that. The first is the area that it covers for the plan, which parts of the town it would cover. Obviously, the recommendation is to expand what we currently have to include additional areas as requested by Environmental Protection, which is Appendix D report. The second one is to look at which activities should be included. Currently, it only relates to sale and supply of alcohol. It doesn't cover either relevant regulated entertainment or late night refreshments, and our recommendation is to include all licensable activities within the scope. And the third is whether or not any business or premises type should either be specifically included or excluded from the scope. Our recommendation is that no businesses or premises should be excluded from the scope, so it should apply to any type of business that which will have a premises license or premises certificate, regardless of what activities it is that they want to undertake. The history of cumulative impact within the borough. We've had a policy in place since 2013, which has been heavily supported by the police. It changed in July 2021 to a cumulative impact assessment legislation changed, and we're now due to ground to review it every 3 years. So here we are. Section 2 of the report details what sort of information can go towards an evidential basis. It's taken from the statutory guidance, but things like local environment disorder statistics, ASB statistics, health-related data, environmental health data, any complaints reported by the local authority, and then information from residents, local councillors, and any evidence through local consultation. Within the report, from appendices C to F are the documents provided by Environmental Protection in relation to this. First is the written representation submitted by Darren and the team. The second is the proposed cumulative impact assessment area map, which is the recommendation that we would wish for members to go for if you do it on an evidential basis. And the third and fourth, so E and F, are a list and a map of that show the mixture of residential and commercial properties within the town centre and the locality. Just briefly on the response and representation from Environmental Protection, and Darren's here if there are any questions you want to raise in relation to that. It highlights, as I said, the mixture of residential and commercial properties within the town centre and slightly wider as you go out of the town. It cites the current town centre transformation that's ongoing, and also changes in planning legislation during the pandemic that allowed commercial property to be converted into residential accommodation without any permission. It refers to an uplift in late night refreshment properties and premises within the town centre, and again around wider scope of the town after 2300 hours. And the impact that can have in relation to, in conjunction with alcohol licensed premises. The suggestion put forward is that not only should it be retained, but it should be expanded to include all licensed premises for all licensable activities, and also that the area should be expanded as well. And there's a list of areas to be included, which to the northeast of the town, a number of streets listed. To the east of the town, to the Gorey City boundary, the north of the town centre, including the right off, although that is already covered. South of the town, just include the dam area, and then the southwest town centre to the A34, and then northwards up to Mile House Lane around the boundaries. The police licensing team's response is at Appendix G. They have included just a written response as to why they think the impact assessment should be retained. They put it down as a contributing factor to reducing or keeping the level of crime down when it's used appropriately. It's and also sort of assist in so when it's used appropriately, it keeps the community safe from sort of increased violence and disorder. Part of their representation, they asked that the cumulative impact assessment also be expanded to include late night refreshment premises and applications. They haven't mentioned any extra areas. And then the bulk of the data that you have before you in terms of the appendices comes from the neighbourhood policing team. They have put together quite a comprehensive sort of document of both crime and antisocial behaviour statistics covering the last 3 years. And they do that both for the town centre and for the borough as a whole to compare and contrast those. Generally speaking, it shows that crime increased from 21-22 into 2023, and then decreased the year after, but not to the 2021 levels. And antisocial behaviour appears to be reducing year on year. They attributed that to partly to the local policing strategy, but they highlight the CAA as a tool that supports the objective and helps keep safe the areas because they place the with it. They're not made any requests or amendments in terms of the area of political activities that it relates to. However, in their submission, they do include late night refreshment premises within their definition of licensed premises. which suggests that they do treat the two as one sort of entity when dealing with issues in the nighttime economy. So the recommendation, as before, is for members to note the information provided and during the consultation from the three parties. We didn't receive any of the responses to the consultation from any of the representatives, parties, premises, organisations that represent them. It did go out to a very wide scope of people, and we just had three from the people we've explained. So again, in terms of the recommendation, if we're firstly asking members whether they feel it's an evidential basis to publish a cumulative impact assessment. If so, what areas should be included? We recommend the map, which is attached to Appendix D. We would need to know which activities are going to be included. Currently, it's just the same as supply of alcohol, but we are recommending that it covers both late night refreshment and regulated entertainment as well. And then whether or not any business or premises type should be included or excluded from the scope. We're recommending that no type of business or premises should be excluded, so everyone is included and treated equally. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Matt. If anyone has any questions, they'd raise their hands. We've got both Matt and Darren, and also Nesta to respond to them. Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Chair. This is obviously a huge piece of work, and I'm just wondering, is this something that's mandatory for all authorities, or is this something that you do as good practice or best practice?
It's not mandatory for all local authorities to do it, but if you are going to undertake it, there's certain criteria that you've got to complete, and that is the type of consultation, who you speak with. You've got to detail what evidence you're gathering, and then the members of general authority will then have to determine whether there's enough evidence there to publish. So it's not something we have to do. Historically, we've had slightly different cumulative impact policy, given the different legislation guidance at the time. But it's always been a useful tool, well supported by the police and well used by the police. Local authority members have always been keen to support the police in that. Because of how the legislation now works, we now have to review it every 3 years. So that's why it's before you, and it's each time we do it, we're able to look at the scope and we can reduce it if it was necessary, expand it if necessary. We have that ability. It's just each time we do it, we'll call for evidence effectively, and then a judgment on the basis of what we receive.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Councillor Williams.
Thanks, Jeff. Well, look at this special week start, the date, and I mean, really good. And yeah, we have to be backed. I'm sure you've got a lot of it in the crossy book that represents 834. When will it start, or is it start date?
Yeah, so the current interim impact assessment we have runs out on the 13th of July. So if there was to be a decision today to take one forward and replace it, it would replace it either on the 14th of July, or if there was an additional decision from the members to start it earlier than that, it would be that date. So the latest it would be the 14th of July.
We'll come back to this committee, Chair.
No. Sorry, Chair. No, the decision is tonight. So if you believe you believe we should have a cumulative impact assessment, then it would either start on the 14th of July.
I think it's a good thing we've done over the years. What my concern is staff and the police and the borough council will be able to carry out this work. It's important it's done. We're looking at our residents, but have we got the staff to do the work? Okay. Well, it's that answer to
yeah, no, it's that question or anything at all. No, cumulative impact assessment is only sort of brought into force when we receive an application, and we're going to receive an application here, irrespective of whether this is here. What it does, it creates an extra burden on the person who's submitting the application to have extra thought and provide further mitigation as to how they're going to promote the licensing objectives. So we're going to get the applications anyway. We have the resource and the team to deal with the applications that we get. There's nothing really additional from our point of view. If we receive a relevant representation in an area that has a cumulative impact assessment or not, then it has to come before the subcommittee. If we don't receive any relevant representations, even if it is in cumulative impact assessment, it can't come to the subcommittee. So in practice, other than the review and the work we've done in relation to this and the report to council now, there isn't really any extra work sort of day on day for it.
Sounds reasonable, thanks.
Any other questions? Councillor Sweeney.
Got my name there, but charity.
No, I forgot to press the button. This is what I forgot to do.
No, I'd just like to say I totally support this. I think it's an excellent plan.
Yeah.
I think from Councillor Ms Williams, I imagine this is something they've been after for many long years. I think they've both been sick as pigs of all the fast food takeaways going up alongside the A34. So no, I absolutely support this in every full stop. I just completely support it. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? The other comment that I would like to make is that for every premises selling alcohol, that transfers when they get hungry to the nearest food outlet. So it's good that they're included. I also think if we look at the map extending the area and the 3 years that Councillor Williams mentioned, premises change. There are more outlets or less outlets, or they change their style. So to review it every 3 years, I think is an excellent thing, especially if all the participants involved and have their say. That's my only comments. So thank you. This is the most thorough piece of work, and I think we're all, even though we've waded through it, I think we're all sort of quite pleased with the detail that's gone into it.
Yeah.
So thank you. If we can just refer back to page 7, the recommendations, there were 4 of them. Members note the information provided by Staffordshire Police. They note the information provided by Environmental Health. Note the information received as part of the recent consultation. And also, could the members determine whether there is currently an evidential basis to publish the cumulative impact assessment? So what we're looking for from the committee members here is agreement that it be published. All those in favour? Yes, so that's the recommendations outlined in the report. Thank you, Matt. Thank you. Moving on to the public protection part of the committee, which is pages. Get that. The public protection part is pages 85 onwards. Are there any declarations of interest in relation to the public protection matters? So moving to agenda item 6, the proposed consultation on public space protection order to do with car cruising. And I believe it has a completely different definition in England compared with America. I think Michelle is going to give us an outline of this report. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So this report has been brought before members to really raise the historical and current issues we have in the borough around car cruising. and what methods have been used previously in regards to preventing this behaviour, and the proposals that we're looking to do and implement to deter the behaviour in future. And what we're looking is to conduct a 12-week consultation in regards to the public space protection order, and I'll obviously discuss this in more detail further down. So I'm just going to give a bit of an outline around what car cruising is and what it is exactly we're looking to implement. So following on from a number of reports in regards to car cruising that have been identified across the borough, the council is seeking to use its powers to impose prohibitions to restrict car cruising. And we're looking for the committee to consider the contents of the order so that a formal consultation can be initiated. So members are not new to public space protection orders. We've been down this road a number of times in regards to implementing such orders where we can impose certain prohibitions to prevent and deter particular behaviours that are causing a nuisance to the community in our borough. As with all public space protection orders, the orders are in place for 3 years. We come back, we review the situation in 3 years' time, and then we can look at what we want to do moving on from that time. So a brief overview in regards to the issues. So if we look at page 2 of the report, and you look at the table in 2.1, the above chart shows how the partnership enforcement action has led to a downward trend in the number of incidents occurring. However, you can see on that particular graph that incidents are once again on the increase. The police have been very kind in regards to presenting and providing a lot of this information. So bear with me because there is a lot of information around the scale of the problem that we have in the borough. So the table, which is 2.11, shows a breakdown of incidents by police area. So we're now seeing increases in incidents in the Chester and Holgate area, Kidsgrove, Newcastle South, which is Clayton, and also Mayland Keel and Loggerheads. Just for information purposes, members may be aware of a previous hotspot area in the borough, which used to be St Anasta. So previously, just during COVID and shortly after COVID, we had a spike in the Wolverhampton area, which saw individuals congregating on Asda Wolverhampton car park, and revving engines, donutting, beeping their horns, being loud and abusive. And it took a lot of work and a lot of partnership efforts in regards to try and resolve that issue. What we did see is these people weren't just local people. These were people coming in from all over the West Midlands. So they're coming in from Derby, they're coming down from Manchester, and utilising the good network routes that we have that draw us into the borough, the A34, the M6, the A500, utilising those main routes into the borough to congregate on some of our open spaces that we have. The map that you can be found at the top of page 4 just visually highlights for members the scale of where these issues are and how varied and how they're stretched across the breadth of the borough. We can find incidents up in Harrishead all the way down to the junction 16. We've had issues in Mayland Heath, as I've already said, going up to junction 16. So again, utilising main arterial routes to congregate in different places. Quite often these could be car parks, but I've also been on industrial estates in the evening. So in area 2.2, so in my set through slightly, you can see a list of the prohibitions that we are looking to implement as part of the public space protection order, which will prohibit this behaviour that we are seeing and try and deter this behaviour moving forward. So the order would be to prohibit the participation in car cruising anywhere in the geographical area within the Newcastle line, which is outlined in the map, which can be found as one of your appendices. Participating in car cruising means being the registered keeper or the driver or being carried in or on a motor vehicle when 2 or more vehicles, including motorbikes, being on a highway or a publicly accessible place at which any such vehicle or the occupant of the vehicle performs any of the activities listed in the schedule below. And if you look at the schedule below that, you can see it's quite a range of views, and we're trying to cover all the different aspects that can be categorised as car cruising. But in addition to that, the order will also look to deter and prohibit the promotion and organising of such events, and also in attending any meeting of 2 or more vehicles in a public space by either the vehicle owner, driver, the passenger, or spectator. And that point specifically is in relation to making parents aware of these incidents, because we're finding a common trend where parents are actually the registered keepers of vehicles, and then they are unaware of the car cruising elements that their children are participating in, and it's really making them aware of what their children are up to. So the recommendation for this evening for the committee tonight is to consider the content of the reports, the scale of the public space protection order that we are looking at, in order for us to initiate a 12-week consultation with the public. It does say it says 12-week consultation. And like I say, the reason is for this, over the last few years, we've seen a continual increase in car cruising. We have utilised a range of different methods which have been highly successful. So, like I say, the Alistair Stanton one, we did a really good piece of partnership working, which enabled us to resolve that issue. However, what it did do is it displaced these 2 other areas in the borough. And it seems to be a common thing that despite the resource that we have and the different methods we can adopt, it's not sufficient, and an order is something that we need to implement in order to really address and deter these people from coming into our borough and causing this nuisance in our communities. The options to be considered are to do nothing. That's one option. This obviously wouldn't address car cruising behaviour. We might also see an increase in problems due to other neighbouring authorities taking effective enforcement action. And it's worth noting that Stafford are also looking to implement their own public space protection order in regards to this matter, and obviously the impact that could have in Newcastle should that order come in place. We could also look at reducing the scale of the order, and the proposed order would look to cover the whole of Newcastle. This is a similar approach that's been adopted in other areas. So reducing the scale of the order could be considered, but may lead to, again, displacing this issue in the areas that aren't covered by the order. Or we could look to agree the order for the consultation, and obviously this will allow effective enforcement for the Community Safety Partnership, who will be able to enforce no prohibitions against this car cruising. So happy to take any questions from the members.
Thank you, Michelle. Does anyone have any questions? Councillor Sweeney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, Michelle. I've got an area that you know well, which is that's a problem for me. What's the word? What the process be? This says that you can give them £100 fine. Who gives them £100 fine?
So it's very much a partnership effort, as it is with all the public safety protection orders we have in the borough. So quite often the police are the first ones to attend on the scene when we get reports of car cruising behaviour. They would be the ones who are able to serve the fixed penalty. It then comes back to Newcastle Borough Council. We do all the back office legwork around enforcing that fixed penalty, making sure it's paid, and obviously following through if it's not paid. Yeah, because what I'm talking about, I know that they're car cruising and they're hanging around, they're making a noise, they're playing music, they're revving their engines up, they're irritating the people who have to live there. And this would help. It's another weapon in your armour, if you like, to get this sort of thing crushed. Yeah. Absolutely, and like I say, we have tried a lot of different tactics across the borough, but it does just give us another tool in our belt that we can utilise. That's great, thank you, Michelle.
Any other councillors with questions? Councillor Cook.
Thanks, Chair. I can hear
Oh, sorry, Councillor Williams.
Oh, yeah.
I was Councillor Cook.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. I'm looking at the definition of car cruising. I don't know if this would be relevant, but we have a lot of issues in our ward in Silverdale with people using motorbikes, mopeds, quad bikes. I don't know if they come under the definition of car cruising being, or whether they're registered vehicles or not, but we have definitely people who cause nuisance doing similar things that are listed here on our public roads and also on our public parks. Would that come under this kind of order, or would that be a separate issue entirely?
It's something we have considered. However, the difficulty in regards to the issues that you relate to are very difficult to enforce. And the sole reason around that is around them not having registration plates and us not being able to identify them. The difference with the car cruising element that I'm referring to, where we get seeing the congregation of cars and vehicles on a car park, more often than not, they are compliant with the road, with law. They have insurance, they have tax, they have MOTs, and they have registrations. So we're able to go and go down and pursue that route in regards to that particular enforcement. There is a piece of work that we're looking at in regards to the enforcement of off-road motorbikes, and it's something that we're looking to do joined up with the police. And obviously you may or may not be aware that we ran a recent operation in conjunction with the police recently, which saw the police aeroplane doing some surveillance around the area to try and track where some of these motorbikes are coming from. It's not an easy piece of work, but it is something that we're definitely looking at as a community safety partnership.
Right, thank you.
Very sorry. Very sorry, Councillor Williams.
No problem. Thanks, Chair. It's a good piece of work and really good. I've been solved some of the problems. But don't be sarcastic. But yeah, you mentioned Low Myers Lane with the potholes down there. I can't see anybody wants to go speeding down there. You know, I go to about 10 miles an hour dodging the potholes. But it's a good piece of work. Thank you.
Any councillors have any more questions? Councillor Heath.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I support the recommendation to go to consultation. As a council, we don't condone this type of behaviour and we don't want to seem to encourage it. A PSPO could give enforcement powers to deal with this, so I'd move the recommendation unless anybody else has got anything to comment.
Thank you. I've just got one query. The financial aspect of it, the fine that Councillor Sweeney raised, he said it can be passed on to the parents. Does it go directly to the person who's driving it initially, or how do they track it down to the parents? Is it the person who commits the offence, or is it the person who owns the vehicle? I mean, I think with this sort of formality, definitions become really important.
Yes, thank you for that, Chair. So obviously, it depends on the individuals. Now, we have had incidents where we've had minors present in some of these car collision situations. So we have to bear in mind, obviously, that the age limits around fixed penalties for minors. What we're looking to do is we'll go on the police's judgment on that occasion, and they will look to serve on the people that are at that location at that time. Obviously, again, failing to comply and provide details in regards to the name and address is a criminal offence anyway. So obviously that's another matter that the police will be able to handle.
Thank you for that. I have one more query. I think the definition of anywhere is critical, and I'm very concerned that Stafford are actually implementing a similar order. I think if we've got a 12-week consultation period and Stafford are ahead of us on the timescale, we're going to get everything dumped on us. Yeah. They're going to look for the first place that they can, and we're the closest. And that concerns me that it's a 12-week consultation period. What I am pleased with that it deals with anywhere, because they would dodge between areas of the borough. So there's two problems there. Perhaps you could.
Yeah, it is something we are aware of. And in regards to the timescale for consultation, that is part of the guidance around legislation around the implementation of a public space protection order. So it can't be avoided in regards to that. The way we've tried to reduce the length of time for the consultation is by conducting one consultation for a 12-week period, as opposed to what I've done previously, where we've split that and we've done two separate 6-week consultations. just to again to try and make sure we can really get this consultation out and get the results of the board committee again as quickly as possible. Again, Chair, appreciate staff that are ahead of us, but it is something that is unavoidable. They too have to go through the consultation process, and in the meantime, we would have to utilise the powers and the resource that we have at the moment in regards to dealing with this issue.
Thank you. Any more questions or commentary? So if we look at the recommendation for this report, the committee considers the content of the report and gives approval to conduct, which is, it says 6 weeks in the book, it's actually 12 weeks, I understand.
It is, yes, Chair. 12
weeks consultation for the proposed PSPO. All those in favour? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Michelle. So the next item is part, it does say closed agenda, disclosure of exempt information. That is an agenda item that's put in there should something occur. So it's in abeyance for this particular meeting. So if we could move to agenda item 9, urgent business, and you will just find one agenda item. It's on page 97, if I could refer you to it. It's just a few short pages dealing with a report on a Home Office consultation. Football's coming home, is it? Certainly the celebrations might be, and it's to cover that. So this item has been brought as urgent business because the next meeting of the committee would actually be too late for the changes proposed. So that's why it's been brought forward as a special item. So if we could just note the contents of that report so that we all have an answer when we get furious complaints when England are lifting the cup and everybody's a little bit too much.
You see, Chair, I think a lot of work's gone on over the years, especially with the licensed premises, where it's a bit playing music at the end of a match and everybody's uptight and you come out burst into the street. So a lot of work has gone on there and the licensed committee. So hopefully they'll be able to stop the bad behaviour. I don't think we will, of course.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. We all hope so too. Thank you. I don't think there are any other agenda items. So at 7:40, I declare this meeting closed. Thank you all for your attendance.